Symphony with the TOP, MSJ and JSC and D. Political symphony. Stop taking it cool. Don't be playing for a fool. They're using race as a tool to divide, conquer, and rule. Justify their bull. The race can they always pull. Lead vocalists have sore throat. Keyboard is playing wrong note. In this band of serial politicians. Their lyrics not rhyming. Some have no sense of timing. In this band of parliamentarians. Say we move for the babalists, promoting the cause of justice. Our democracy and grace. When the section called to the fore, music ran to the core. Who arranged the song? So impure with the UNC and the BNM and the COP and the political symphony. Symphony with the TOP, MSJ and JSC and D. Political symphony. Corruption rebuff. Say enough is enough. The system will always fail. Must be big fish not making jail.
Everything that went on in Parliament today was a farce. It was a joke in this latrine shithole of a country where our Parliament is elected for 5 years. You can't move them. You have to put up with them. You have to deal with the nonsense that went on in that Parliament today. That stunt, that waste of public time. And you know what the people of Trinidad and Tobago did today? They yawned. They yawned. 20 UNC placards, 1 PNM placard outside the Red House, and the rest of the country did not care. An entire stunt to elicit one soundbite. One soundbite that the handful of UNC memes that want to feel like we get them back. Kamala say it takes short longer to write an exemption law than it takes scientists to make a vaccine. For 1 day. You do that for 1 day. That's all they're happy with. The country running like shit. They're running to the ground. Nothing working. Everything dying. The bandits thieving. And I ain't talking about the small bandits. I'm talking about the big bandits are thieving out everything. We're getting to a point now where it is getting difficult to see how exactly we could get back any of our money. Listen, I spoke to 3 people, actually 4 people, but 2 are one person, 2 are one conversation. I spoke to 3 people in a day, and those 3 people are trying to influence me to use my political acumen on the inside of one of the parties. Get inside one. Phillip, the country racist. You're not going to have a political voice if you're not inside the PNM or the UNC. It's either the black vote, get in there, the Indian vote, get in there, and then try and fix it from inside. Pause for a second. Today, the talented Dr. Ravindra Lala, the best plastic surgeon in this country, removed the stitches from the incision that he made to remove the bone spur on Friday evening. He said, I may have that swelling for a couple weeks. So I could either let vanity rule and don't do a live video, but we have to talk. So I have to put up with it and you have to put up with it. It'll go away. Unlike PNM stupidity, that will be with us forever. This will go away. The thing that happened in the Parliament today, I told them, you are going to do absolute shit. This is why I cannot work with the UNC. Now the 3 people the 4 people I talked to, the 3 conversations I had today, the first person I spoke with is a man who is of such unimpeachable character. He's talked straighter than me. He don't hold water in his mouth at all. He's 71 years old. And he's somebody who, every time I get an opportunity to talk to, I just listen. I don't talk. If my mouth open, it's to ask a question. But I listen when people that I think could teach me talking. I know a lot. I bright. I know I bright. You know I bright. People who even meet me yet hear about me and hear I bright. But there are people, somebody, I remember hearing that the reason Tiger Woods was the best in the world was that when Tiger Woods finished play a competition, he used to go to his coach and replay the holes he had difficulty with. For his coach to tell him what he did wrong or what he could have done better. And people ask, who coaches the best in the world? But we all have gaps in our knowledge. We all have limitations. None of us are perfect. So we all have people, or we should have people, whose knowledge and opinion we respect. Now, I didn't talk to David Naked today, but I want to tell you, David Naked is an unspoiled, untarnished politician who is independently wealthy from international football. He has his own business in China. I don't care if he gets back. I'm telling you all this. David Naked. David Naked is another one of those people that I think is unimpeachable. And David Naked has told me repeatedly, and he has given me the benefit of his experience. So I'm telling you all this because I'm laboring, me personally, I'm laboring with something. So you all may find that, and those of you who follow me and those of you who care what I have to say, I need to be open and honest with you why it is so difficult for me to settle in one of those traditional political parties. I am not somebody who could tolerate too much bullshit. No way. Not even in my family. My family will tell you that. When I write, and I know I write, I'm not giving ground. And when I'm wrong, and I find out I'm wrong, I'm quick to apologize. I take my hits. I have no problem with that. David Naked told me, Phillip, you cannot influence the game from on the bench. I wanna give you the seeds of the conversations I have had with all these people. David Naked is a UNC senator because David Naked has a heart for people and he wants an opportunity to do good by the people, the poor people of the East-West corridor. He wants to be their champion, and I understand that. I feel that. And he picked UNCPN, and he picked UNC. And I told him, because we talked a lot, you all knew that he and I talked, we were on panels together before he screened for UNC, and I had the PEP. But even after he screened for UNC and went as a UNC candidate, David Naked and I became real good friends. Because his logic and the position he's coming from for him cannot be denied. And I cannot argue the point. Because he is right for him, for his approach, for his objective. He is right. The person I spoke to, I just letting you know, David Nackett told me, sometimes you have to bite your lip and think greater good. Most of the people on the thread, all of the UNC supporters tell me the same thing. Come in tight, forget about what they're doing when you're getting an opportunity, but they don't have no opportunities, and it is not as simple as you think. And I really don't have the time for internal party politics. I want to fix the country. That's the only reason I do what I do. A very good friend of mine named Joey, tonight, I sent him a WhatsApp about my opinion of what took place today. And he said to me, I'll tell you my friends, Joey is another person, I can't give you his last name, but Joey is another person who I absolutely respect. I respect his opinion. This is what he told me. Brother, I really do not know why you're wasting any effort on anything political. The PNM is in for the next 5 years and you'll just drive yourself crazy. There's nothing you or anyone can do about it. Like the US, Trinidad is divided almost 50-50, and that's by design. You should really concentrate your efforts into helping those in need and enjoying your life. Spending all that time and energy cannot be good for your health. Take a sabbatical for, say, 3 months and then see if anything looks different. I doubt it will. But those 3 months can be used to better the lives of those you can really help. Just my 2 cents. Joey is somebody I've known since I was a teenager in school. A long time. Went to the same school as me and Gary Griffith. And others, like the good doctor who operated on my head. Best plastic surgeon in the country. So that was Joey. So Mr. Gentleman, this morning, this man was a board member of a massive company. So he speaks to me from the position of somebody who came from nothing, humble beginnings, and went on to become a somebody. So while he's talking, I have no reason to interrupt. And he's explaining to me, he said, you are like me. You're like a magnet. You pull people to you. But the difference between us is, he said he is an influencer. He is trying to influence circumstances while I am going at it head on. And he said to me today, because I asked them, I said, when you were on the board, and the board was taking decisions that contradicted your beliefs, that challenged your ethics, how did you continue? You see, the first day I will resign. The first day in a political party, in a government, they're doing shit that I know contradicts what we set out to do, I'd resign. I wouldn't last long. My personal ethics are like that. I prefer, and it's not ego. But what pulls me every single day, Joey telling me, because Joey knows, what pulls me every single day to get up and fight this fight, and keep fighting this fight, what pulls me cannot survive in corruption. I cannot be involved in anything that I think is corrupt or illegal. I can't. I can't do it to myself. I can't, and it's not me. But I will feel physically ill. But he's trying to explain to me, now I'm doing a lot of research. The past couple of weeks, some of you all may have realized this profile was off. And I took some time, I took a little sabbatical, I've been doing some research. I was listening to motivational speakers. Anthony Robbins was explaining that there are push and there are pull things in your life. The push things require your energy. The push things require you to agree. The push things require you to make an effort. But the pull things, no matter what's going on with you, no matter how it affects you, even if it damages you, the pull things pull you along. You have very little choice in what you give yourself to. And I'll explain something to you that I learned in these past couple of weeks. But this friend of mine, no, he's not a friend. He is somebody I listened to. And he said to me, you see, I register my disagreement. I make sure they know that I'm abstaining from the vote. I make sure that they minute in the minutes my complete disagreement, and I leave the room. I said, but your presence still upholds the organization. He said, that may be true, but there's a bigger thing. He said that I'm influencing people in the room. There are other people in the room who feel like I feel, but may not have the courage that I have, or worse, may have more courage than I do, but have too much to lose at the time. Some people have to weigh their priorities, and they need to sideline their ethics and their integrity and how they feel about something. If they need a job, they need a paycheck. If they have children in university and a mortgage, they're stuck. This is the new massa, the new massa. The new whip is your salary. The new whip are your bills. You enslave yourself to this. And he said that, but a day may come when they are not. See, or one of them could end up chairman of the board. And then it's a different thing, because I would have influenced them. And he told me a story about a priest. And he told me a story about a priest who was proud of an oath he made to God that he would never be dishonest and he would never tell a lie. Even on the pain of death, he promised, he swore to never tell a lie. And he was known for that. During World War II, 2 little children ran to his room in his church and begged him to hide them, 2 little girls, because the Nazis, the soldiers, had just killed their parents and were looking for them. And when the Nazis came to the church and knocked on his door looking for the children, this gentleman, this priest, who has a sworn oath to never lie, had no choice. He told a lie to the soldiers. They went their way. And later on in life, he had to confront it in a conversation where someone asked him, how does he reconcile that with his beliefs? And he said, because it was a good lie. I get that. I understand that. I can influence. When I was leaving, he told me, he said the ancient Chinese proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. I noted all of that went my way. Later on, I met with 2 people that I work with on projects, and I respect them. We talk a lot. We're very open with each other on issues that affect us, and they are both of the opinion, either get into one of those parties or get out of politics. That's their position. They say everything you say and everything you do is right, but it's not going to get anywhere in Trinidad, because in Trinidad, our politics is racist politics. And people will support you right up to the line, Philip. They will give you anything you want, anything you ask for, and on the election day, they will get in their section. They will vote race. And they said that to me. They said that to me from the position of, they said, We don't know why you don't just forget all this nonsense politics, look after your family and your business. Because you cannot make the difference that you want to make from outside. The last person I spoke to today was explaining to me the softer view of who we are and how we come to be who we are. And it is with him I got to say what I have learned. Because I've been trying to understand me and why I do the things I do. And by extension, everybody else. Because I am not the kind of person that will just judge people and say, this is who you are because this is who you are. We all are somebody for a reason. I have a full-grown son and a baby girl daughter. And I've spent a lot of time with both of them. And what I got from watching them and researching, there are a lot of good people, there are a lot of good information out there. So if you ever feeling depressed, trust me, if you're feeling depressed, or you're not feeling or you're feeling anxious, you're not feeling to go on, or you don't have a plan, you reach a dead point in your life, go on YouTube and type motivational videos. Just type that. And just keep clicking videos until you find the one that just says all the words that you need to help push start you. But anyway, what I have learned from a life of learning and introspection is that who we are is because of our core beliefs. These are the things that we are tethered to. We cannot change your core beliefs. You could conflict your core beliefs. You could rationalize your core beliefs or something that contradicts your core belief. But anytime you're having a conflict in your mind, and anytime whatever it is you are doing is not bringing you peace and happiness, check and see if it is not because it is at odds with your core beliefs. We all have things that we believe instinctively from a child growing up, and all of the environments that we grew in contributed to those core beliefs. We have mommy core beliefs, daddy beliefs, society core beliefs, the TV they put us to sit down in front of, the community, the school, the children. Every experience that we've had growing up, and you never stop adding to your core beliefs, I don't think. Because when people tell you people can't change, that's bullshit. You can, but you have to change at a substantive level. Your reactions may not change. Those things that are ingrained, your mannerisms, that's hard to change. That's who you are. We are all learned behavior. We learn to walk watching other people walk. We learn to do everything watching other people do it, to eat. We mimic. That's what we did. So we also picked up mannerisms and that kind of stuff. But your core beliefs, those things, are who you are. It's who I am. A murderer, a killer, a corrupt person, any type of human is because of their core beliefs. Any type of human. And I want to tell you something too. I've been doing videos for a long time now. And I know the type of videos that get numbers, big numbers. But I can't be in this for big numbers anymore. I have to start focusing my energy on influencing people. And this is what I took away today. from all of those conversations today. And I have to disagree with everybody who thinks that the way forward for me is in one of the two existing parties. And David Naked, and by extension Jolene John, and everybody else, Rudal Monilal, and everybody else who worked to make a space for me, I want to tell you all, I have the greatest appreciation and respect. Tim Gopi saying, I have the greatest appreciation and respect, both you, Ari. I had a conversation with Prakash Ramada this week. I had a conversation with Anand Ramlogan. I want to hear what's going on in people's minds and how they view, how they think. We are all aging. Life is happening to us. Life is happening around us. We're living in a totally different world in 2021 than we could have envisaged in 2019. Things are going on in this world right now that you would not have believed possible if someone had told you in December 2019 that next 3 months, all civil liberties will be up for grabs. You'll be wearing a mask. The supply chain. Do you know that all construction in this country has gone up by about 50% in the last 2 weeks? The supply chain, metal, we don't have no steel. The supply chain of steel to this country and cement, the two foundation stones of all construction, under real pressure. Steel went up by 32% in one move. In one move. And it going up again. And that's because of poor government, poor management, and the impact of COVID-19 on the supply chain. And the point I was trying to make is that all of us, regardless of who we think we are, when they grabbed Keith Rowley and rushed him to West Shore, they grabbed my sister and rushed her to West Shore. She died. He was fortunate. He walked out of there alive. But when they rush you to a hospital, there is no guarantee that you're coming out alive. And when they rushed him there, and when Kamala Prasad Bisesa woke up this morning, and when Paula May Weeks woke up this morning, and everybody else, Ivor Archie, Roger Gaspard, Gary Griffith, Jason Gordon, everybody else who holds a position of authority in the country over people's minds and over people's lives, when they got up this morning, even if they delude themselves about their invincibility, all it takes is that twinge that my friend Marlon Eskai, fairly young man, fit, healthy, making good life choices in the gym. He ain't a bodybuilder, so it's not like he pushing no set of iron. Marlon was lean. He liked that lean, sexy look. And my friend Marlon dropped his daughter to school. His wife went to Miami that morning. And Marlon was training in the gym 2019. It was 2019 or 2020. I can't remember now. For Carnival. He had his costume. He had everything booked. This was Marlon. Carnival was Marlon's religious high holidays. Marlon's whole year started around band launching. I know Marlon. Everybody know Marlon. And Marlon was in the gym training. Daughter at school. He there with his friends. Everybody laughing. I could see his big stupid grin as he enjoying life. And he felt that twinge. That twinge in his chest. He said, this is not feeling right. And he sit down there. And he said, it's not feeling right. Not feeling right. Take me to the hospital. They took him to a private hospital. The person who took him to the private hospital said he put Marlon in the ER. Normal. Marlon just said it, I'm not feeling well. And went to pay the deposit. He said when he come back, they trying to resuscitate Marlon. And Marlon died. Robert Booth, our next young family man, was out on an evening jog with a group of friends that he jogs with and wasn't feeling well, sat down round the savannah, died right there. Right there. And everybody's remember the last time they spoke to you, the last thing you said, but I just talked to him on the phone. Keith Rowley, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Paula May Weeks, Iva Archie, Roger Gaspard, Gary Griffith, all mortal. All. Colm Imbert, Faris Alarawi, Rudal Munilan. There are things going on in their bodies that they don't know. My neighbor, a couple years ago, went Miami to do some business. Spoke to me on Friday. He said, well, I'll come back. We have some things to talk about. We used to lime outside. We lived in a compound. We shared a wall. Talk outside in the yard. Went to Miami. While he was there, he wasn't feeling well. Went to the hospital. They check him. It's not right. They check and they investigate. And stage 4, cancer, metastasized to the bone. He never came out of that hospital. He went to that hospital because he wasn't feeling well. He never came out. Over the next 2-3 days, his sister, the whole family are my friends. All his brothers and his sister. And his sister was updating me. I know his mother, that all his organs, they were failing. His cellular failed. His kidneys gone. He's in 24 hours, he was a shriveled version of this man who lived in biofitness in Westmall. He was one of those people you cannot trace his abs. Never ever came out of the hospital. Stage 4 cancer. And the point I'm trying to make is that we carry on as if this is permanent. As if this is forever. This is how it's going to be. I am fighting for a better Trinidad for more than half my life. I'm fighting for it. But these conversations, sometimes, and a lot of people who texting me and messaging me, and if you're watching me tonight, and I have not responded to you, is for 2 reasons. One, I am overwhelmed by the sheer volume. I cannot help everybody. I am sorry. I can't. Even if I gave up everything else that I do, including sleep, I cannot help everybody. Some of you I can't respond to. Some of you call my phone. And even as I'm telling you, I am not in government. I'm not even in opposition. I'm not in the parliament. There's nothing I could do for you. You still want to tell me your story as if to say that you will unearth some hidden nugget that I have put away for a rainy day, and I might say, oh yeah, well, this is for you. Come, I didn't know it was you. There are 2 things. And the second thing is, the time that I have set aside to help whoever I could help has to be for Citizens Union members. Is what I do now. And to the people who join in the Citizens Union who not happy when I announced that I wanted to work with the UNC, because they said they didn't want it to be political. Citizens Union is not political. It will never be political. Citizens Union is an activist group, and its job is to be a counterbalance. And I hope to leave it as a strong counterbalance. I don't want it to be one of those self-promoting, make a name for yourself. Look at Angelo Bisesa Singh. Angelo, creator of the Virtual Museum of Trinidad. When he found his calling in life, God gave him about 3 years. Because the moment Angelo came on the scene and started to talk, and I got to know him, and everybody got to know him, and he was celebrated. Angelo was Boom, 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 boom. Diagnosis. Boom, 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 boom. Angelo gone. Angelo gone. And everything that he was doing, still here. We have a conundrum. That's why the name of this video is What Now? We have a conundrum. We don't like this country. I like this country. And I don't want to leave this country. I don't want to leave this country for many reasons. I tell you all this because my family here, and my friends here, and people that I love that died or buried here. And I know every crack on every street in Woodbrook, and I know Trinidad like the back of my hand. I can't get lost here, and I know it. And I have plenty experience my whole life here. And while there are things I would like to go and see in the world, I'd like to go and see them and come back home. You know, I'd like to go and see Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and I'd like to go and see Puma Punku in South America, and Nazca in Peru. I want to go and see the buried cathedrals in Ethiopia and the carved out cathedrals, temples in India. And I want to go and see those things, and Tiawanaka, and I told you all this long time. I want to go to see the pyramids, and I want to touch these things. I want to do those things, but I want to come back home. I want to go to New York City. I've never been. I've been to Baltimore. I drove almost to New York City and we turned back. And I want to go just to see it. I want to see things. I'm at that age and that stage where I'd like to go and see those things. And I thought that after elections, but then COVID-19 sticking around and they have no way to really go travel. So for now, we had to continue this. But I don't want to leave Trinidad. And I would like very much for it to be functional. But it's not. It's not functional because it was too easy to get us to hate Trinidad, and it was too easy to get us to hate each other. And every time I think about the genocide in Rwanda with the Hutus and the Tutsis, I understand, because of my experience in Trinidad, how easy it is for politicians to make people hate people that they don't know. I watch people on social media for the past 15 years in politics. I've watched people on social media become the nastiest animals to people they don't know. That they don't know. I watched that girl from Ramsaran say some things about black people. I watched a black woman say, let me go and kill everybody in that family. I watched Massey respond to Ramsaran. Politics has turned us into a hateful mass of people. Unhappy with Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot have that much hate and be happy. Trinidad will never be a happy place. We are witnessing a continuous assault by the government. And it doesn't matter which government. Every government. Because no government has kept its word. Because no government has put things in place to protect the country from governments. Governments now have become surgically corrupt to the point where the courts are adjudicating over more matters of citizens like me, raising awareness about corruption and adjudicating over defamation cases for people like me instead of dealing with actual corruption. There are zero corruption cases current in the most corrupt country in the world. The Commissioner of Police will tell you Point blank. And I'll tell you tonight. So all you like Shiva Maraj, you had to eventually block. Because I'm tired of that bullshit. And the trio of Guy, Jared, Tambi, and Teresa Marquez' son, I can't remember the name anymore. All of them just want to attack Gary. I want to tell you all something. Crack a freaking book and learn how the shit works. Gary and the whole Trinidad and Tobago police service could lock up summary offenses. This is how Trinidad was set up. He can't change it. If he changes it, ironically, he will be breaking the law. If police know that a government minister and a financier are involved in moving cocaine, hundreds of millions of dollars, the police has to get an instruction from the Director of Public Prosecutions to charge. Those cases do not originate in the police service. They do not have the authority. They are instructed by the DPP. Gary and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service job is to run down clothesline thief. They could intercept a crime like Stuart Young's stepdaughter. But the charges, depending on the level you are in society, has to come from the DPP. I learned things in my time about this country and how completely failed it was set up to be. And it is astonishing the lazy stupidity of the average person in Trinidad and Tobago who will watch them break in your house, rape your family, burn down your house, and leave with your belongings. And talk with their friends, boy, I couldn't believe what I see, and do nothing. Nothing. Trinis do not care about important issues unless it is affecting them. At the highest level of our society, where crystal glasses are clinked with expensive champagne and decisions are made that affects everybody, those people do not want all laws enforced. They just want the laws enforced that affect them, making money and living their best lives. And why should that matter to you? Because if you're not now at the big table, chances are you aren't. You believe that things work in your favor in Trinidad and Tobago, but they don't. The banks in this country are allowed the widest spread between the buying and selling of foreign exchange that is artificially held at a price for political malfeasance. The government dictates the rate, and we are believing that what we are selling is equating to $6.01 to a US dollar. It's not. Every time a purchase is made at that level, and this is one of the reasons why foreign exchange is so scarce. Every time a purchase is made at that level, at that artificial price, a debt for the balance is incurred. And we don't have to understand that. Because we eating doubles and we drinking rum and we down on the avenue and we lime it. COVID-19 changed that. People home, thinking, talking, they're not good. How not good? The PDP just beat the PNM in Tobago. Beat them. When you say it's a tie, it's not a tie, brother. If I come in to the fight with 100 orange and you had none, and when the fight done, you have 50 orange and I have 50, you beat me. The PDP beat the PNM in Tobago, and COVID-19 has a big part to play with that. And Tobago people have to get your respect because Tobago people trapped by that THA bullshit. That whole construct that makes no sense, that the UNC can't interfere with because they don't have enough Indian people in Tobago, and the PLM won't interfere with because like everything else, like the voter padding HDC, like everything else that's set up to serve them, that's how they want it to be. In any other nation in this world that I could think of, even China, everybody who was involved in that mildew transaction in Tobago would have gone to jail, including the current ambassador to London, Orville London. There was so much criminality that took place just in that. There are people in Tobago that are wealthy beyond measure, while Tobagonians continue to suffer, that are sucking money because Trinidad hands Tobago every year 2.6 billion, 2.8 billion constitutionally due to Tobago. But Tobago is just two constituencies. Tobago is as much people as Diego Martin West and Diego Martin Central. And Diego Martin West and Diego Martin Central get maybe $10 million, $100 million for the year to run the whole constituency. Tobago gets $1.5 billion each. But the Tobagonian 56,000 people don't get that. Friends and financiers of the PNM. And a lot of those friends and financiers are Trinidadian. Same contract mafia. It's not that Tobago is insulated from the contract mafia that feeding. It's feeding over there. Emil Elias, Rowley, and Landate. That case, that Kid Rowley became prime minister, he owes that to Emil Elias. And Emil Elias's testimony in that case. Because otherwise, Kid Rowley was in serious trouble. And I don't know if a quantity surveyor was ever allowed to testify to refute what Emil Elias said. But that's water under the bridge. It may as well be true. It could very well be a lie. But you will never know. And I will never know. Because those that are involved in all of the machinations that facilitate the looting of this country. Let me tell you something now. When Basdeo Pandey tells you he wasn't paying attention when his government was looting the country through NIPDEC, Basdeo Pandey is telling you one of three things. He's a liar, he's incompetent, or he's corrupt. Because only one of those three things could have happened if you are the prime minister, the absolute authority of the country for 5 years. You are the capo, Tito capo of the government. You appoint everybody. Kid Rowley could fire the Chief Justice. Yes, there are steps and there are systems and there are people who will talk shit if they like it or if they don't like it and all that. But he appoints and he fires. It all rests on the Prime Minister in consultation with the President, in consultation with the opposition leader. But the Prime Minister is the absolute authority. If Kid Rowley tells you that he doesn't know about the corruption taking place under him, he is either incompetent, a liar, or corrupt. Kamla Prasad says so as well. You cannot escape responsibility. The job, as Keith said when he got it, the buck stops here on this desk. So to the knuckle draggers who tell me, Keith went outside and turned on the light in Wassa, he may as well have. The Americans have Air Force bases larger than Trinidad. And one man have the contract to mow the whole lawn. This is a dot in the sea. Trinidad could fit 10,000 times in Florida, in one state. We could lose in Texas. This is a dot in the sea. Each and every prime minister we have ever had, starting with Eric Williams, was either incompetent, a liar, or corrupt. Because 3 trillion, G. Anthony Gervais, don't say the buck stopped with Ketos and forget that it had to stop with Kamala too. Because if you believe that the buck stops with Ketos and won't ask the same questions of Kamala, then you are the problem. And not you specifically, but that mentality that will choose a side and will hold one party responsible for actions that they will let the other side pass on. And that is the point that I am trying to make all of these years. That we could pretend that we are insulated from what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. But make no mistake, if we know that every prime minister that has ever existed in this country is either a liar, incompetent, or corrupt, and we are playing eeny, meeny, miny, moe with them, then we laugh out loud funny, ironically, really do like it so. We like it like this. In America, you Chinese who in America, who still perfecting your American accent, and you could talk all you want to talk and pretend that you're as active as you want to pretend you're active. Americans don't care what you have to say. To Americans, they take their shit very seriously. What's going on in America? What's going on in Canada? What's going on in England, Germany, the Netherlands, just jail ministers. What's going on in Israel? What's going on in Japan? What's going on in China? All of those countries are deliberate. Now, you may not agree with how they do, but they do to run the country a certain way. In this country, we do not care unless we are benefiting. Nobody votes in Trinidad and Tobago for a better Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why the Progressive Empowerment Party failed. Because our entire politics and the entirety of our campaign was to appeal to a highness that doesn't exist. It was to appeal to a patriotism, a civic man. You think any other politician in this country who not in office would dare work as hard as I do 5 years from an election? 5 years. We're 5 years away from the next election. Look at what I'm doing tonight. Name a politician that not drawing a government salary or a state salary who doing anything for anybody. People burning up my phone, my WhatsApp, my message, my inbox. I find mail that I didn't even know I had, and people waiting on responses. Burning it up because they know they could reach out to me. That doesn't mean I could solve it, but they know that they could. We appealed to civic-mindedness. What the frig he talking about? What does civic-mindedness mean? We said one people under one flag, regardless of what else you believe. You could be gay, bisexual, transsexual, trisexual. Somebody say call him trisexual. He trying anything for sex. You could be Hindu, Muslim, Baptist, atheist, agnostic. Doesn't matter. Politics is about the operation of the country, properly done, it leaves nobody behind. What the Baptists get, the Hindus get, the Muslims get, the Christians get, it leaves nobody behind, because everybody, the Hindus and the Muslims, will say, hey, don't forget the Baptists, because they know that if they had get left behind, they don't want everybody to speak up for them. That's how a proper country is run. That's all politics is about. People used to come to our meetings and say, what's your view on abortion? What's your view on homosexuality? What's your view on religion? I said, my view on these things, I don't care who you lying down with at night and who you praying to in the morning. That's not my business. The Progressive Empowerment Party had at its center, at its core, policies so unshakable that other parties had to pilfer and steal and copy and paste and plagiarize and pretend that they were somehow something that they had an interest in. Every time a government set out on a project, the Diego Martin, whatever it is they're going to build, no matter how they tell you the rationale for it, it is presupposed on corruption. It is to enrich people involved. That's the only reason for every project in a country whose income, somebody told me this morning, he said that a government is supposed to know the GDP is here and that our income was falling on the graph, and that when it reached here and went lower and they started to deficit finance, something had to be coming from here to catch it, to take us back. Because every single day that we exist as a country operating Trinidad and Tobago with negative growth, we make less money than we spend. Every single day, we are running into more debt and out of time. We are running into debt and out of time. And you could ignore it. But that's what happened to Venezuela. Venezuela ran into debt and out of time. And it may have become cliche to use Venezuela as an example because we don't care. We don't care. Venezuela could burn down. Venezuela, the whole country of Venezuela, could catch on fire tonight. And Chinese will WhatsApp one another. Hey, we're doing, come down by we now, we're watching the fire here. Everybody in it for me. What's in it for me? Nothing. Not interested. To get politicians together, to form a party, to build a movement, not on race, not on religion, not on hate, on fixing Trinidad and Tobago, failed. That failed. We go to church, we go to mosque, we go to temple and pretend for God. That's ironic. Like we could fool God. God, look at my heart. Don't look at this little corner here where my true intentions are. You can't. If you believe in God and you believe that you could fool God, you believe in a foolish God. Our responsibility as citizens, the only reason for listening to me talk, ever, is to want a better Trinidad and Tobago. I said today, I listened to the debate in the parliament, and it was bullshit. Kamala had no case. She had no case to make in the parliament. She had a fantastic case to make in the court. But now that she made the case in the parliament and got the government to defend their indefensible, and Kamala's prosecution was weak. She played to the camera. She did it for the... like a dancing monkey. Without Rudal Bonilla, don't tell me about Anita, don't tell me about Saddam Hussein, they're weak. Or they're saying they're strong because you're comparing them to Khadija and the rest of that pickup side. But it was embarrassing. I wanted to text Jerlene John and tell them, stop. You're making it worse. Your followers. You hear that one, Rudolph? Give them a zinger, boy. Oh, God, we tell them. The rest of the countries, fuck. We really stuck with PNM, boy. We really stuck with PNM. Ian Anthony asked me if I had nothing to do. Nobody else listened. I had to come back and put the closed parenthesis. The open parenthesis is when I told the nation that this was a foolish and stupid move. A vote of no confidence in Keith Rowley took a struggling PNM pickup side and get them wind. It get them mannishness. Colm Imbert, all 4 foot 7 inches of that twin, was able to stand up inside the thing. And while a handful of PNM beating the desk said, if your name man, come outside. Colm can't fight a cockroach. But he get to be able to threaten the entire government that for a while had a special majority in the parliament that could have fixed and changed everything it wanted. That vote of no confidence unto the UNC people on this thread, and I know you all don't want to hear it. A woman tell me on my post today, it was to record it in Hansard. For what? Who reads Hansard? What is the purpose of saying it is to record it in Hansard? You know what they use Hansard for? The next time they have a basa mark. And I am holding in my hand Hansard dated January 27th, 2021. That's all it for. Nothing of substance. Nothing of value. So to say you wanted to write it in Hansard is to say you had no reason. Somebody else tell me it was to let the people know what's going on in the country. To let them know what? That the country run like shit? You didn't know that before? This was news to you today? That the whole country run like shit? The opposition UNC did themselves a disservice. And it is almost as if Kamala Persad-Bissessar is trying to destroy the party. It is almost as if she cannot have somebody take over from her. And she cannot run the party. So she is going to destroy it. And to the Indian mass of voters outside there, 500,000 people who have say, who could influence the outcome of the country, they can't say nothing because they look into their party and they have to support it. The UNC is built on absolute loyalty. That's all it rewards. You cannot be an independent thinker in the UNC. They cast you aside, castigate you. The UNC needed big moves now. They just lost an election to a hated PNM. Even PNM people hate PNM right now. When them little fellas in the beat skate that water on Fitzgerald Hines, it was a level of vex that Fitzgerald Hines knew why he and his bodyguards turn and run. Because something was following water. Something was following water. When you see people reach there, no have nothing to lose, you come there in your Range Rover, them living in dirt. When people reach there, have nothing to lose, I applaud Fitzgerald Hines for his sense of self-preservation, that he turn and run because he know that is a beat up. First word is beat. The UNC needed big players. And I said that I will work with the UNC. Kamala, I will give you my full support and I'll bring everything that I could to the table. It's not good enough for Kamala. Kamala needs to destroy the UNC and everybody, and I'm apologizing publicly tonight. David Naked may never speak to me again because David is one of my biggest supporters in the UNC. But I cannot be a part of that, David. And I had all of these conversations with all of these people to find out how do you bite your lip? How do you sit in something that you know that is intrinsically evil and tell yourself, well, it's less evil than what I'm fighting? I prefer to stand up where I standing up, where I have almost zero chance of ever winning an election and getting public office and perks and salaries and blue lights. I prefer to stand with my integrity. I prefer to stand with my ethics. I want to be able to say the things I know to be true. I want to tell Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the last thing the UNC needed was another Indian face in a high position. And the fact that they treat communications with such scant courtesy is the reason why Dr. Kirk Megu was appointed PRO. Kirk Megu is a nice guy. Kirk Megu is a nice guy. Tell you that now. I like the fella. He bright. But you in a bitch fight. You in a street fight. You in a boy, everything outside in this fight. And you go on and bring your little sister. Because that's what Kirk represents in this fight. What you needed as your PRO was Marsha Riley. You see that little red girl? She dragged Rowley down to her point from his pedestal in one day and had the bitch duddering. What the entire UNC failed to do today, Marsha Riley do walking about in Diego Martin West. You needed Marsha Riley as your PRO and a strong communications. Somebody called me from National Security today, Stuart people, and asked me, Phil, who running the UNC communications? Because I ran communications for National Security under Gary Griffith. And he called to ask, who's running Kamala's communications? I said, nobody. So they operating by zing. Sit down together, how we gonna zing them? How we gonna get a little in the parliament? How we gonna get our people outside there? Oh God, 307 days, 308 days, 309 days. You're not preaching to the choir anymore because the church empty. Not even your congregation turned out today. The people that you pay to show up with placards, we've been down this road before. We've been here. Trinidad and Tobago stuck right now because the UNC does not have proper leadership, and the people who have the mass of vote, because the swing vote and the mass of UNC vote destroys the PNM, and the swing vote wants to vote, but there's nothing to vote for. There's nothing to vote for. So it can't register. You have more physical voters than the PNM, but all of them living in 12 constituencies. The PNM vote apart the ass all through the country. Because they counting it, you know. The traditional voting in St. Augustine, of the 36,000 people who live there, 20,000 people vote, 9,000 voted PNM, 11,000 voted UNC, voter pad 2,500 in today. That's how the PNM plays politics. To win. Because it is a vehicle by which its investors, its owners, its financiers, the people who sit in Balize House and plot for this country, it is the means and the mechanism by which they steal this country's patrimony. And if you did not know before, let me be the one to tell you, what they're thieving now, coming straight out your pocket. The country is making nothing but taxes. Your money. You are putting the money in the treasury for them to thief. And you are not telling them, run the country better. They are telling you, put more money. How funny is that? How funny is that? You have no other voice. The media lies to you. You cannot be popcorn. You can't be memes. You can't be shit talk and zing. Your job can't be just to send shit viral. Hey, you hear what Suzette said today? You hear what Ragu say? Hey, you hear what Stark say? Your job can't be that. I'm not giving you anything else to send viral. All I giving you. And this is my commitment. Again, all I giving you is something to think about. You may have been robbed of a proper childhood. You may have been robbed of a proper education. But Frederick Douglass started life as a freaking slave in America. He didn't know who breed him and who make him. They used to get takeaway from their parents like how we take away puppies from dogs. Frederick Douglass started life as a slave on a plantation and educated himself to being one of the best red congressmen who ever passed through the United States Congress. And if Frederick Douglass could take himself from slavery, you could move yourself from dependency. And the Tobagonians just show you that it's possible. Because nowhere more handout than Tobago. The entire island is owned and operated by the THA. And the people of Tobago just risked everything to kick PNM out. The stunt in the parliament today, the lack of any coherent narrative from the UNC, because the opposition can't just be vexed. The opposition has to give the people something to hope for, something to believe in. It can't just collect faces. Jolene John is a powerhouse in the East-West corridor. She is worth more per pound than all the Rodney Charles and Barry Padarats and Dave Tankos in that party. She is worth more than all the hide-and-seek senators that they are appointing now because they bring in money to the party and link up from the past, the present, and the future. David Naked has a role. Saddam Hussein can be groomed and managed. But you cannot let the boy stand up in the parliament and just speak what he knows, because his knowledge is limited by his age and what he was exposed to. A proper communications team would be the go-to place. And I tire to tell the UNC this, and I'm not telling them again, and I'm not interested anymore. I'm not. I realize they have no idea what to do. They have no clue what to do. Saddam Hussein, last night, I doing a live video. And I tell you, I looking for something. And I can't find it. Kendall Baggy, Citizens Union, formerly Progressive Empowerment Party, Chief Research Officer, send me a message. I don't even know Kendall up and watching my video. Nobody knew I was going to do a live last night. That's a team. As a team. People on the tread asking questions. Satish Ramsaran there, Sean Sunarayan there, Felicia Hola, Hadassah Charles McLeod. Everybody there answered. Lema McLeod Wilkinson, they're there, they're giving you answers as you asked as a team. Saddam stand up in the parliament today. If he got anything at all, they hand him a thing and say, read that. Because that's what they used to do, Glenn Ramadan saying. That's what they used to do, the rest of them. Just go in there, Verna, St. Rose Graves, read that. You can't operate like that after you just lost to the weakest PNM the country has ever known. Rowley is disliked by everybody. The government is despised. And you out there talking about they rigged the election. If you believe they rigged the election, you don't stop. If you believe corruption took place, the most important decision we make to us with Natalie Legore and people like her and that whole PNM noise-making bunch, to us with them. If you believe that corruption took place in the election, you go to the Privy Council, you go to the Supreme Court, you go to the High Court, you go to the Court of Public Opinion, you don't stop talking, you bring your 307,000 people out and you stand up 6 feet apart and you say we started from the lighthouse and we're going up in the St. Anne's Hill 6 feet apart. We want to hear how the hell this happened. If you believe that, if you don't really believe that, hush. Because you're looking incompetent. You're looking like sour grapes. If you believed that the election was rigged, the PEP don't have the resources. The thief where we vote. We didn't have people to put in each counting polling station and make sure they're in thief we votes. I know the thief was bad. They have a massive following. This wasn't a small party. But the UNC have more lawyers than a law firm. The UNC have the resources, the money to fight it. Fight that. That is what you fight. But you have your people outside there talking about the 50th election. It was rigged. It was rigged. It was rigged how? How was it rigged? How was it rigged? And I'm saying to the UNC supporters, and I am sorry if I am disappointing you because I am still here to work with you, but I can't work with you inside our party. I'll be leading you astray too, and I can't do that. I cannot do that. But the UNC voter base, you are entitled to have your say in that parliament. And what took place today, that farce is not it. And you may have had no choice but to vote for Khadija Amin because that's what was put on you. So you're sucking that, you're suckling for that, you're sucking it up. But you deserve better than Khadija Amin. You deserve proper representation. When Rudradat Kapildeo started Mahasabha, because the PNM turned their back on the East Indians in Trinidad and Tobago and separate the country and call them a recalcitrant minority, Kapildeo started to educate them. We will come back at a time. You have so many brilliant minds, and I want to come back and talk to PNM too, you know. But PNM, all it is real sure call your responsibility, boy. All it is real sure. They have too many coward, bright black people in this country. Powerful, bright, and coward. Because you're afraid to get ostracized. Look at me. I half Syrian, my whole community. I can't say my whole community, but the big shot part of my community. Don't invite me nowhere. Half Syrian. And I don't care. You're afraid to be ostracized by the people, so you stay quiet. You don't challenge. Look at what PDP just doing to Tobago. You should feel shame. Or you should be ashamed. But this stunt today, I told the country, all Kamala Persad-Bissessar did today was show herself to be weak and show the PNM to be rampant. Stuart Young was defending himself today. A man that the nation was laughing at. Fall down, Brown. Minister falling down. Was laughing at him. Tell me what was in Delsey box. They was laughing at Stuart Young. Today, you made him ministerial. Again, today, Colm was able to tell you. I called him to come for a beverage, not a drink. P&Ms don't drink. A beverage, come for a solo cream soda. I called him to come for a beverage. He said, can't come. I only have 48 hours off, and 2 of those 48 are going to spend with the fire service because they're celebrating their new colors or some shit. And he was able to say that because the whole UNC did not break out in raucous laughter and point and say, oh God, nah, let the speaker stand up and beat high heel shoes on the table. Ignore the police when they're dragging you out, laughing and come. You ain't really talking that kind of shit in this debate, man. But the UNC don't have the moral majority, the moral authority. They don't have it. They don't believe their own shit. The UNC came into that parliament today with none of them prepared, with possibly the exception of Rudal Munilal. When Rudal Munilal speaks, he always speaks from a position, and he's the senior man now. And he speaks from the position of somebody who is researched. Gives you facts and figures. When he busts a mark, they have to keep answering it for days. He tell me about AV oil. He tell me about the helicopter. When Munilal come to talk, when he stand up, please pay attention. And the UNC is supposed to train the rest of them to be like Munilal. But the UNC internally afraid Rudal Munilal. So he is being pushed out. You realize that? You realize the strongest voice, Marcia brave boy, and them work is to attack Rudal Munilal inside the UNC. The strongest voice the UNC have, Rowley can't handle Rudal Munilal. And if Rudal Munilal was, and don't give me the bullshit about what they say, anything you could tell me about Munilal, people used to tell me about worse about Rowley. Rowley unelectable. That was the talk in the PNM. Too much baggage. We can't find a picture of him smiling. The man garrulous. He arrogant. He obnoxious. He abrasive. He's an attack dog. Nobody voting for that. Nobody voting for that. They tell me the worst things about Rowley. You can't tell me nothing about Munilal. Munilal presentable, packageable, he's marketable, intelligent. But he now have to hold his corner inside a UNC that only owns a deflated Indian vote. That's all it have going for it. And the supporters of the UNC are losing interest because the party is embarrassing them. Not the drunk ones on the ground who will whine for anything. You could wind them up in any party. When you always show me the video with the PNM girls ventilating the BAMC, UNCs do the same thing. That's our ground politics. We play that game. But the majority of thinking people are frustrated. You're not voting. That's why the UNC lost. They've not captured hearts and minds. This crew can't. Because it is so much selfishness, so much insular dank and fetidness inside the UNC that the whole show today was the Kamala show. It was the Kamala show. This wasn't about Stuart Young. This vote of no confidence was a platform for Kamala, a last hurrah. And she failed miserably. Because nobody cares. Nobody cared. Nobody. You could pay these little Charon, Stark, and Trio, and whoever else you're paying go on social media and make a little noise for you. But even them dwindling, their influence dwindling. For a while, you could have fooled people a little bit. Young black people supporting the UNC. Yeah, we're going with that. But that dwindling, because other black people who were considering giving the UNC a vote can't support that. Cannot support that. And inside the UNC, there are people who will tell you that they're not going to go and work and fix Beetham and Mova and Lavantel because the base of the UNC are happy with that, and the racist politics in the heart of this bullshit still going on. How are you going forward? And that is why the UNC still 30-something years in existence does not have an office in Diego Martin West, Diego Martin Central, Diego Martin Northeast, despite the fact that Nicole Dyer Griffith, Garvin Nicholas, Rocky Garcia almost won those seats. The UNC does not care. You came. If Jack Warner was the leader of the UNC now, they'd have never lose in 2015. They wouldn't lose in 2015. Kamala don't know how to defend Jack. Kamala don't know how to defend Annan. But Keith Rowley show her how to defend Stuart Young. Stuart Young brought a plane load of Venezuelan drug lords to meet with the Prime Minister during a lockdown and lied about it. That is what you needed to confront him on. That was your vote of no confidence. That is bringing the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago into odium and disrepute. That. And you didn't. Keith Rowley showed you how to defend incompetent terrorist housing. They repackaged. Somebody tell me today. The PNM knew there was a one-term government. There was Stephen and Grapp. They knew 2020 they lost. They couldn't believe COVID-19 fall on this country, fall on the world, and allow them to blame it. Allow them to blame. When you contrast and you compare, when Keith Rowley contrasted and compared Trinidad to all the countries that have horrific COVID-19 stats, he didn't compare it to Barbados. He didn't compare it to African countries and some of the South American countries where hot sun and quality and the difference in the way people live made it difficult. It was easy to compare it because there are countries that failed, 183 countries at least in the world. And there are countries that had it frightful. And there are people in this country, young people telling me, who fed up now. Young people who fed up of the lockdown. Because I told somebody today, when we was young and we had hormones, in my 20s, if they had COVID-19, I find them party still. Because that's what you are in your 20s. Your hormones all up in your head. All you want is to look where they have girls and you're going there. And the young people telling me, well, boy, you never see old people that are dead, they're dead. People frustrated. COVID-19 has changed everything for everybody. And it's changing the way we do things. But that doesn't mean that we allow Keith Rowley to pretend that Trinidad was saved by his policies. Kamala takes too long to move. When Section 34 of the Indictable Proceedings Act was passed into law, in 2 weeks, the PNM had mobilized a round table in response. David Abdullah came to my office to meet with me. I think it was a Tuesday. By Thursday, we were in Normandy. By Thursday, we had take over the whole Normandy hotel. We outgrow Normandy. We end up in Ambassador Hotel. Massive showing. They want to go at the PNM for the procurement bill. They have Timothy Hammersmith the most knowledgeable person. They have Afra Raymond. They have Karen Nunes Teixeira. They have people that you could call. Why is everybody leaving Mala Dukaran languishing? Mala Dukaran is the brighter Dukaran where economics and finance is concerned. Why is she languishing? Young, bright Mala. But in the UNC, they frayed bright people. Now, look at the heart of the UNC. Who go in there to deal with Dave Tanku? Who know Dave Tanku? Raise your hand if you know what Dave Tanku look like. He's a power broker in the UNC. Barry Padarat was Kamla's literal bagman. Rodney Charles, who destroyed the People's Partnership's chance. He had a fellow named Shembal, the old saying, who destroyed the People's Partnership's chance at re-election, put himself to run in a safe seat. Who screened him? Who screened Rodney Charles? And why were you screening the person responsible for the party's success at the election in any safe seat? Rodney Charles is a black man. He should have run in Laventille West if he had any confidence in his abilities. Any at all. The UNC is trying to take the PNM's playbook between 2010 and 2015. The only difference is the PNM didn't come out to play between 2010 and 2015. They lost government and they wanted it back. And Faris Al-Rawi, Keith Rowley, now I'm Stuart Young come to that party late. Faris Al-Rawi, Keith Rowley, Fitzgerald Hines, Colm Imbert were burning up the airwaves anywhere. Colm Imbert was a troll on social media. Colm Imbert was fighting everybody on social media. Colm Imbert was writing letters in every newspaper. He was writing a column in one of the newspapers, a weekly column. He was calling in the radio shows, not paying people to call. Colm Imbert was calling. I was on a radio show with Fitzgerald Hines and a couple lawyers on 102 one night, and Colm Imbert called into the show, and he said, good night, and the rest of us said good evening. He said, well, where I am is night. So I realized not everybody bright. Good evening is hello at night, good night is goodbye at night, but nobody taught Colm that. We tried to teach him then, but he was arguing, so the panel agreed to leave him with his ignorance. But the point I'm making is, the licks that Jack Warner put on the PNM, the licks that Jack Warner, because Kamala for the first 2 years was riding truck in New York and dancing with Julia Roberts. Jack was running the country. And inside the UNC, they didn't like that. And the PNM knew that they needed to get rid of Jack. So Jack was on both sides. He was under attack. On both sides. But the cutters that Jack Warner put on the PNM didn't leave the PNM in disarray. The UNC cutters in 2015 that saw Kamala standing up in Rienzi Complex by herself, couldn't find a car to pick her up and take her home. Remember that? Disarray. Total, complete disarray. They've never recovered from. Nobody has sat Kamala Prasad Bisesa down and said, you're doing a crocus bag of ass. A mountain of shit. Your party's whole public persona is weak. You fought Vasant Bharat. After that election, you beat up a weak man. After that election, you didn't have the sense of awareness to bring all of them back into the fold. Nazima Ali Knox. That was Clifton Dikoto right hand. God rest his soul. He was a decent guy to me. I think he was a decent human being. Nazima Ali Knox put herself through law school, set up her own law firm, open a branch. I just follow her. Nazima is somebody I know. Nazima went with the Lotus crew. Ramona Ramdial. Why are you afraid that Indian so? Is it because she bright and she outspoken? That's what you need. Not Kirk Begu, as decent a guy as Kirk is. Somebody in the voter base. You see, Sat Maraj don't exist no more. Devant Maraj, who was supposed to be his apostle, out of the politics now that Vasant lost. So there's nobody speaking for the Indian vote that has Kamala's ear. Kamala has found herself at her weakest time in her life, in the sunset, what Vernon de Lima calls being in the waving, the departure lounge. She is in the departure lounge of her life, and she has no advisors, just people who are willing to cut instant deals with Kamala for a piece of the UNC pie if it win office. So it's just special interest and agenda whores around a weak leader. That is the United National Congress. I watch Vasant pull out people like Candice Mohan and her boyfriend Jason Peru, and I say, but these are young up-and-comers. UNC needs that. You trying to tell me that Kamala and Michaela can mend fences? You need that. Who is going to succeed you? If you push Rudal Monilal out and you don't have a Vasant, who is going to end up leading the Indian vote? Dave Tanko? Not even Dave Tanko mother voting for him. He had to weasel his way into a position in our party, like Rodney Charles, give himself a safe seat. These are not members of parliament that capturing hearts and minds and motivating the public to want to support the United National Congress. You needed to bring Vasant back after. Show them no hard feelings. You need the coup of bringing Gypsy back from the PNM, no hard feelings. This fella, Taylor, Peter Taylor, come and campaign with all you. He not in the Senate. Peter Taylor was a PNM minister and a lawyer and a strong black man. And supported you for elections. You ain't give Peter Taylor a position. Peter Taylor would be a better PRO than Kirk Megu. And I never hear Peter Taylor talk anything about public relations. But I know Kirk Megu doesn't understand it. And I am not knocking Kirk. Kirk is a historian. He is a brilliant historian. He should have been your party's research officer. He's set up for that shit. But you make your mechanic your hairdresser. You make your hairdresser your nutritionist. And you have 2 and 3 aerobics instructors running the party. What the hell is going on inside the UNC? What? Today was a freaking joke. And if I could give David Naked and Jerlene John and Saddam Hussein and Anita Hayes and Vandana something to go to, I'd go and rescue them and take them out of that. Because they have no future, and I want them to understand they are squandering their best years under agenda whores who only going to ride their backs. Ask Stacey Rupnarayan. Ask people like her. Ask Bo Tiwari. Even if PNM people don't like Bo because Bo is UNC and Bo is Indian, Bo Tiwari was the brightest man in that party. Bo Tiwari was the brightest individual. When you talk to Bo Tiwari, he comes across clumsy, trying to dumb down what he is telling you. He's brilliant. You needed Bo Tiwari. And you needed that kind of team. You flushed that out. Why? Why? Is it because there was a rumor that the members of parliament was going to mount a little internal palace coup and they was going to appoint Bo as the interim leader? I tell you this tonight. Today was Kamala's last play. Everything from here is going to be an embarrassment to the United National Congress supporters, not the yellow shirt wearing agenda whores inside the party who trying to feather their own nest. The 500,000 people who gives the UNC its validity, they are going to be embarrassed now. Rodney Charles, Barry Pararat, Dave Tanku, that kind of shit snake lineup is now going to flavor what the UNC does. They know nothing about communications. When they were going to announce that they were doing this vote of no confidence, I sent a message to Kamala, it never reached, I sure, to tell her you are being badly advised. You cannot fight the PNM when you weak. What you needed to do was be strong. The UNC strong in the courts. The UNC strong on the ground. Hit the ground, protest, take them to court. Where you going? You're going to fight them where they strong. In the parliament. You know they own the media, their financiers own the media. You want to go and write letter to SABGA and call for boycott for a low-hanging fruit like Natalie Lego. You register your disgust, you register your complaint, you let the members run with the boycott. That have nothing to do with the party. You don't get involved in that. I told Kirk Maygood that. I say, do not get involved. Don't let it reach the level of Kamala. Because you're a corner SABGA. And SABGA will have to defend himself. What are you going to say? I think Natalie Lego, that published article in The Guardian that she resigned, I think that that is everybody saying, pat down. You're not making sense. And as of today, Trinidad and Tobago has to be watching what now? Because a 6-6 tie causing a constitution crisis in Tobago. We don't know how to deal with that. There is nothing in place to deal with the inevitability of 12 seats. Jackass nation, run by fools. Nobody thought to say, put a safeguard, a casting vote, put something in, nothing. Like there is no ability to fire, there's no ability to deal with a tie in Tobago. Constitutional crisis. Trinidad have to be saying what now? PNM rampant in their banditry and corruption, eviscerating human rights and civil liberties, insulting and disregarding our citizens outside. Colm Imbert, what they said today, somebody came and said, who it was, boy? Was it Keith Rowley himself? Some Fitzgerald Hines, one of them said that the people who are outside there is people who try and gimmicks. You know, it is so easy for the PNM to lie and castigate and denigrate, and then the media will run with that. And you have a weak communications team, so you can't fight back, you can't push back. So you're going to settle for a Kamala meme. A Kamala meme is all that come out of that stunt today. That's all they got, a meme. Kamala saying, Stuart took longer than the scientists. Well done. In exchange for that meme, you've raised the PNM stocks and right-sized a broken minister. If you try now to go to court now, they will say it is harassment and petty. The public will agree. So you cut off the best thing that you could do to rush for a stunt. Kamala's last hurrah. And like in the Emperor's New Clothes, there is nobody to tell her you're doing shit. So while she is going down the drain, she is pulling Saddam, Anita, Bandana, David Nackett, and Jerlyn John with her. The rest are the carpetbaggers. All of the Khadijas and the Dave Tankos, you could throw all of them away. They were worthless. Unless you have something pivotal to capture hearts and minds beyond the Caroni Bridge, because you're not, none of those people, not Khadija, not Dave Tanko, not Barry Pararat, not Rodney Charles, none of them could run in a swing seat. Not one. They will lose. You need to capture hearts and minds. And this is it. This is certainly not it. What now? Trinidad and Tobago, the sister isle, is in a constitutional crisis. And we in Trinidad are stuck with a corrupt and hateful government. And incompetent, weak, and listing opposition. What now? Now that the worst among us have had their say, of the 1.4 million of us, the 41 weakest voices have had their say. What now? Trinidad and Tobago. What now? To those of you who stayed with the video tonight, thank you for being here with me. I promise Trinidad and Tobago that regardless of what goes on, I will try to be a voice of clear reason, and I'll try to always speak truth to you and to power. I'm not going to sell my sword. I'm not going to sell my soul. If there is nothing worth supporting in the UNC, I cannot lie to you and pretend there is. That is not my style, and you know it. I believe if Kamla Prasad Bisesa had an ounce of love for this country and a care for her legacy, after today, she would announce 6 months from today, she will resign. That she will step down, and that all comers should try to capture that seat. That everybody, Rudal, Vassant, Vandana, David, Julian, everybody should try. Robert Amar, everybody. Suzette Lauer, let everybody. Give them enough lead time so everybody can come and join the party. They have no constitutional problem. Step down. Because if you don't step down, you will destroy the UNC and the country best chance at reining in the contract mafia owned and operated PNM. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, the only thing that you can do right now to save face after today is announce that you are retiring from active politics. Let Michaela, let everybody come and fight it out. It'll be the best thing for the UNC. It's in the middle of the electoral term, not in the middle, start of the electoral term. So whoever gets to take over will have time to build out. Let everybody, because if you don't, Rowley and every version of Rowley will be in power, and the UNC supporters will never see power again. That's the truth. And the UNC supporters should be allowed. You see how Vassant and our Lotus crew fight? Let everybody come and fight. Let them organize themselves, Bowen, Fuad, and everybody. And let the members of the UNC choose their next leader. And after that, if Kamla lose, every single one of those members in that parliament should resign and trigger by elections, especially Tanku and Rodney Charles, and let the people of the UNC party groups pick from among themselves the best and the brightest to put in the parliament, because it trigger the by-election. PNM could send who they want. PNM could send Brian Lara, Dwight York, Jesus Christ. They're not winning. Inside UNC safe seats, they're not winning. Jack Warden, Chaguanas West was an aberration. It took millions of dollars. Bribe like bribe, never bribed before. He had to form a whole party just for him. He had to organize every single night. He spent millions of dollars campaigning to win that seat and couldn't hold it. And that aberration will never happen again. Give the UNC back some life. Right now, it is a walking dead. And the PNM, after today, we're in trouble. It's now, all of y'all who outside, who was relying on today, this stunt, all the dogs dead. Because now, Stuart Young, back on top. And it's back to him all they had to deal with. That's what Kamala and the crew do today. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is an activist organization that represents people at every level of society. If you would like to be a part of a group of people challenging the government to do better, please join. If you are capable, if you are financially able to make donations to the organization, 769-4590, Felicia Holder, reach out to her, please. Join this organization. We're aiming for 100,000 members. When we use our collective voice, we plan to influence things to the benefit of all the people of the country. That is the purpose of the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago. Until tomorrow.